Ultimately, if you decide to shiny hunt in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee, you've probably been doing it wrong for the last... you've been doing it wrong for almost the last 3.5 years. So we've talked about Anubis before. She helps data mine / get stuff here. She's done a lot. We've covered her before in like the brilliant shiny hunting in Sword and Shield, which people were wrong about for almost 2 years. She has recently discovered how to properly curry hunt, which no one has ever talked about. It's never been on Sarumi. Even when I talked to Joe from Sarumi, he didn't really seem like interested in covering it. I do have like the Sword and Shield guidebook, and they do talk about curry hunting a little bit, but they don't really go in depth. Anubis is why we know a lot of things. She's really fantastic, and she does a lot of good work. Let's talk about shiny hunting and Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. This had a... so Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee has 153 Pokemon in it. 151 would be Mew, 152 would be Meltan, 153 would be Melmetal. Fun fact about Meltan. I have no clue where I could even put this fun fact. I'm going to put it right here. Fun fact about Meltan is it's 152 in the Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee Pokedex. And Meltan made its debut on Chikorita Community Day. And Chikorita's Pokedex number is also 152. So there's just your fun fact about Meltan and Chikorita and how like the Pokemon Go thing was obviously planned for all of this. Obviously Pokemon Go and Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee have like a lot of marketing similarities because they were trying to reach a new audience with that. Like whether or not you like Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, still a really good attempt to try to get people into main series games and try to like rope more people into like buying a Switch, obviously. I mean, all these companies want to like make money and get new people and stuff, right? Like you want to expand your audience. Anyways, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee has a couple mechanics here. One of the mechanics, we're on Sarumi right now. One of the mechanics is if you activate a lure, I say lure funny, instead of a 1 in 4,000 chance, you have a 1 in 2,000 chance because it adds +1 to the roll. So how that works is you have a 1 in 4,000 chance of finding a shiny. This has been the way since X and Y. Before X and Y is a 1 in 8,000 chance. You activate a lure, you're automatically increasing your shiny odds. So realistically, if you're running through Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, you should always have a lure on because it helps. Obviously, the lure does work with the shiny charm here. You have a 1 in 1,000 chance of getting a shiny Pokemon. And then we have what's called the catch combo. So I've talked about this before, but this is so in case you guys don't know, I know a lot of people know that Sarumi is a website. I know a lot of people know that Bulbapedia is a website. There's this relatively new website. They just started like 2 or 3 months ago. It's called Pokemon.com. Surprisingly, actually, Pokemon.com's been around for a long time. No one ever uses it. But Pokemon.com has an official article about this that no one seemed to believe. It's also funny because not only has the information been on Pokemon.com since whenever they published this, which I don't actually know if they have a published date. Anyways, this information has been on Pokemon.com pretty much since the game came out. I think this article came out about 2 weeks after the game came out. Pokemon.com also had an article about brilliant Pokemon and shiny hunting that, again, no one believed. There is this weird, what's the word for it? Disconnect in the Pokemon world where Pokemon fans either one, forget that Pokemon.com exists, or two, they refuse to trust Pokemon.com because they would rather trust Sarumi or they would rather trust their favorite YouTuber. And I will say for the most part, Sarumi is great. Does Joe get some things wrong? Yeah, Pokemon is like huge. There's a lot of Pokemon. There's a lot of things to cover. He covers a lot of things too. So has he gotten things wrong before? Absolutely. Has he corrected those things when pointed out? Absolutely. So I do think Sarumi is a great resource. There were Pokemon fans for the longest time that thought something was broken or not working. Okay, I want to tell a story real quick before we get to like these odds that I'm about to show. There's an episode of The Simpsons that has always stuck with me very well, and it's an episode where a bear shows up in Homer's driveway, and Homer and the rest of the city get really mad that a bear shows up, and there's this fear mongering that a bear could return, and so Homer goes to the city hall and argues that they need to have they need to have something to stop the bears from showing up. And so City Hall decides to have the Bear Patrol, and then the Bear Patrol shows up to patrol to make sure no bears show up. And then so Homer opens his mail, and it says that there is a Bear Patrol tax, and he's very upset about the Bear Patrol tax. Lisa goes like, well, we've only had like one bear show up. We don't need Bear Patrol. And Homer makes a big fit of like, yeah, we do. What if it happens again? And she's like, and Lisa then picks up a rock, and she goes, I have this rock, and this rock keeps tigers away. And Homer goes, well, how does this rock work? And Lisa goes, well, you don't see any tigers, do you? And he goes, you're right. I would like to buy your rock. So it's this concept like this, and she says this is specious reasoning. There's this concept where you think like, there's this concept where you think that something is happening because it matches your narrative, and you don't do any research or any like fact, like a placebo, yeah, like confirmation bias. Like, this thing is not working for me, and I read an article that it's not working for this person, therefore, it must not be working. So there was a Reddit post that came out back when Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee came out that talked about, how that everyone has been shiny hunting wrong, and the actual way to shiny hunt is by resetting your RAM. And the person then said, I talked to the data miner, and we both looked at the code and agreed. And so in order to shiny hunt effectively in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, you have to leave the area and come back. And that resets the Pokemon in the area, therefore gives you a shiny Pokemon. And they went on to say that let's say you're in the Viridian Forest, and you're getting Weedles and Caterpies and Pikachus and Pidgeys spawning. And they were saying that like those are going to be the same Pikachus and Weedles and Caterpies spawning. And in order to get new ones, aka shiny ones, you need to leave the Viridian Forest and come back. And Joe from Sarumi was like, none of this is true. I've talked to the data miner. This isn't the case. And this was just a post on Reddit. And at the time, I was doing very well on Twitch as a streamer. It was some of my highest viewership at the time. We got a bunch of new follows. I had the highest sub count. I was shiny hunting left and right. And people were coming into my stream hours, days, minutes after this Reddit post and was like, hey, streamer, you're shiny hunting wrong. You need to like leave the forest and come back. And I'm like, no, this like, like, let me give you the too long didn't read of what this Reddit post said. It basically said, Sarumi is wrong. I talked to the data miner. Trust me, bro. That's what the Reddit post said. Like there was no there was like no like code. There was no sources. There was nothing. There were countless amount of people that would come into my stream and be like, hey, you got to reset your RAM. Hey, did you see this Reddit article? You have to like reset your RAM. A full 3 days later, the same person posted on Reddit and they said, it was a lie. I tricked you all.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
The guy, he posted on Reddit again, and he didn't apologize. It was like, it pretty much said like, I lied to all of you because Joe Sarumi is running a monopoly on Pokemon information. This was his legit reason. And I wanted to expose that if I didn't say anything, that Joe wouldn't look into and research this further because they felt they weren't getting shiny Pokemon. They felt like Homer felt with the Bear Patrol that the thing they wanted isn't happening. So they never talked to the data miner. They just made up this whole post. It had nothing to do with resetting the RAM. But the crazy part about all of this is that months, and I'm not exaggerating, months, people would come in to my Twitch chat and while I was still playing Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and say like, hey, you need to reset your RAM. For some reason, that first Reddit post about resetting your RAM gained so much traction that not as many people saw the second post where he said that he was lying about it. It was a wild time. That brings us to Anubis. So Sarah B was wrong for the last 3.5 years. but not that wrong. I think maybe the only takeaway from this video, and I don't think a lot of people are gonna watch this video and like specifically start shiny hunting and let's go Pikachu, let's go Eevee. I think the takeaway from this video is that like data miners are wrong, and there are not a lot of people who data mine Pokemon games. So with something like DexNav in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, we didn't really know how DexNav worked until like a year later. People just kind of made it up. Oddly enough, Pokemon.com was right the entire time. It's just that Pokemon.com words things very obscurely, probably on purpose. So for the most part, everything was right. The thing that happened though in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee that we need to talk about is another thing that would happen to me on Twitch. Is that people would get to a combo of 31, and that is what Pokemon.com said. It says keep that catch combo going. They talk about what a catch combo is. They talk about how you get berries, candy, experience points when you catch a Pokemon. They also talk about how you are more likely to encounter Pokemon with high individual strengths. Those are IVs. They also specifically say you will encounter more shiny Pokemon too. And you'll need a catch combo more of 30 to maximize your potential bonus. Your combo ends when you catch a different species. Your combo ends if a wild Pokemon runs away. Your streak will not end if you run away. It will not end if you accidentally bump into the wrong Pokemon. Catching a Pokemon's evolution will break the combo. So like they're laying out exactly what you have to do on Pokemon.com. And they talk about rare Pokemon here, right? Bulbasaur can only spawn in the Viridian Forest. Charmander can only spawn in Charmander gets 3 spots. Bulbasaur only gets 1. They talk about high IVs. They talk about how to find a shiny Pokemon. And it says, while these Pokemon won't perform any differently in battle, they're more fun to show off. Just like IVs, you'll need a large catch combo to maximize. To catch combo more than 30, the Pokemon individual strengths stop improving. But you shouldn't expect to find a shiny Pokemon quickly with a large catch combo. These Pokemon are extremely rare, so it's a serious accomplishment when you do find one. And it talks about how you can get the shiny charm and everything there. So they use Mankey as an example. So this comes back to Anubis. So this was another thing I experienced on Twitch as a streamer, and it was another thing that I've noticed other people did, is they would get to a combo of 30 or 31, and then they would stop moving. And they would just wait for the shiny Pokemon to show up. And this was very funny as a Twitch streamer because people would come into my stream and I would be actively catching Pokemon, right? I'd be like, I'm on a chain of like 100, I'm on a chain of 500, like I'm just gonna catch over and over. And they would be like, streamer, why aren't you just standing still? And I thought that was like really weird, right? Because like I want to play the game, I like catching these Pokemon. And I was like, hey, there's a couple things that happen when you catch Pokemon, right? When you catch Pokemon, the Pokemon itself gets easier and easier to catch. If you think of Lickitung in the cave where Mewtwo is, Lickitung starts off with a red circle. But once you catch about 100 Lickitung, that circle turns from red to orange to yellow. And then some Pokemon start off as like orange, then they go to yellow, and then they go to green, right? Obviously, if we played Pokemon Go, or we've played a lot of Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, a green circle is easier to catch than a red circle. So my thought process is, well, I want to keep catching these Pokemon because I want to make that circle be permanently yellow instead of permanently red. That way, if a shiny shows up, I am more likely to catch it because it's easier to catch. The other reason I kept catching is because you made more money catching than you did just standing there. So, for example, if you were catching Pidgeys, Pidgey would have, to buy a Pokeball in that game would be 100 Pokédollars. But when you caught a Pidgey, you would get enough candy that you could sell back to the store for about $240. So you were actually making a $140 profit by catching like a Pidgey or a Nidoran or a Pikachu or a Charmander. So by catching, just by not standing there and by catching, you were actually making more money to buy more Pokeballs.
So you didn't have to like do the Elite Four like once a day in order to get money. You would also get experience, right? Easy experience. So it was very easy to get your team of 6 shinies up to level 100 while you're shiny hunting a Staryu. So there was lots of reasons why I continued to catch. But there was a lot of players that just wanted to get to 31 and stand there. As it turns out, now almost 4 years later, we've learned that standing there actually hurts your shiny odds. Because of this specific line that Anubis writes out. The catch combo bonus only applies to the very next spawn of the same species. Continue your catch combo by catching the same species to get the bonus again. If you are idling, shiny rolls are not the same are the same as not having a catch combo. So if you got to 31 and then you just stood there, you are ultimate, like the extra 11 rolls that you would get for having a 31 combo would never apply. All of those Pokemon spawning in do not have the bonus. Only that, like once you catch a Pokemon after 31, the next Pokemon that spawns in has that reroll bonus. Then you catch that one, then the next Pokemon that spawns in has that bonus. So all of those players that were just standing there and doing nothing, they were not getting the bonus. They were just getting the lure active, which is the +1, and they were getting the shiny charm active, which is +2. So ideally, your chance of getting a shiny would be 1 in 1,000 chance just by standing there, even if you had a combo of 31. Now, if you had a combo of 31 and shiny charm and lure and you kept catching, your shiny chance was 1 in 273. And this, I think, kind of reflects back to my Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee streams when I was streaming it at the time, that like I was getting shinies very often and very quickly, and it was because I kept catching, because I told myself like catching gave me money, catching gave me experience, catching gave me made them easier to catch. So why would I just stand there? I would like to play the game. I would like all these things to happen, and I got rewarded for it. And I really think like that's really good game design, right? You want to be rewarded for your time. So I don't think having the player stand there and do nothing, I don't think that's good game design, but I also don't think that's rewarding your player. So by telling your player, hey, keep catching, you'll make money, you'll get experience, you'll get berries and stuff. You'll be able to like take that candy, either use the candy, sell the candy, you'll increase your shiny odds. Like, it's actually kind of crazy how, and it's why Let's Go is one of my favorite games, because even though it's Gen 1, and even though there's only 153 Pokemon in the Pokedex, like I felt like the game rewarded you for playing. And in hindsight, it seemed like the game punished you for just standing still, which is kind of funny that they thought about that. So anyways, that's pretty much the gist of it. So, you know, we have the 31, the +31, without the shiny charm, but with a lure, it's 1 in 315. With the shiny charm and lure, it's 1 in 273. But this only applies to the next Pokemon spawning in, which was not on Sarumi for the last 4 years. And we just found out recently by Anubis, who you can follow her on Twitter. She's really great. That we found out that we were wrong for the last 4 years on shiny hunting in Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. So there's a little history about what happened during the time of shiny hunting. There's a little history about how data miners have been wrong before with shiny hunting stuff. A little history of like if you decided to go back to Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee to complete your shiny Gen 1 Pokedex. Now you know how to actually properly do it. So hey, if you made it to the end of the YouTube video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I try to be as informative as possible and try to show you where I'm pulling the sources from. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hey, Twitch chat, you can say bye to YouTube if you'd like. And we'll I'm sure in 3 more months we'll figure out that shiny hunting in Legends Arceus has actually been broken, and I'll have to do a video about that too or something.